Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. This is the Board of Selectmen meeting, April 12th, 2022 at 6:30. Present is myself, Bob Carlson, the first selectman, also Selectwoman Nicole Porter, and remotely tonight is Brett Mastriani. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? That's non-agenda items. Okay, hearing none. Are there any comments from either of the two selectmen?
I have one, if you don't mind, Bob.
No, go ahead.
Well, I guess I have two, just to let you guys know that the farmers market is moving forward. The amount of vendors has increased dramatically. Well, not dramatically, but we're up to 15. So we were at 9 last time we talked. So it's moving ahead very well. Wesley Sun's doing an article regarding it. They took some pictures of the Hewitt property yesterday. And then the last thing, and it's kind of funny that I'm hybrid tonight, but it's something that we have to monitor. So right now, the governor's orders for the hybrid meetings still end April 30th. I reached out to Heather Summers and Greg Howard to see where we were with any of the legislation that they were moving, trying to make it a permanent process. And right now, I looked up the bill. It's House Bill 5269. So if anybody's listening, you might want to reach out to anybody in the House or Senate regarding that bill that would make it a permanent part of our process. But as of right now, it still ends April 30th. So I think it's something that we need to keep an eye out for. I don't know, Bob, if you had heard anything through the state or any updates on that.
I haven't, but I'm supposed to see Greg sometime in the beginning of next week. So I'll ask him, but I'll also look up that House bill and check it out. Thank you.
All right, because that'll change a lot of what we've been doing.
All righty. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, Nicole's all set. So first selectman report and comments. A couple of things. We have some correspondence this evening. Some of it's mixed into the packet you'll see later from the Lions and so on, but we did get a letter from the town of Hebron. So I don't know if you've heard about the incident they had a few weeks ago with a house that had multiple animals in it. They were calling animal control officers from all over the state. They called us and asked if we could send ours. It was probably the farthest that Kasha's traveled before, but there was a good gesture on our part. She wanted to go. So we sent her. She ended up taking back, I think, 2 or 3 animals. They asked all the ACOs to take back some animals, and then she did. We got a nice letter from their first selectman thanking us for doing that, telling us that if there's any way they can ever reciprocate, they'd be glad to. So I think it's just one of those things to build relationships with other towns. And again, Kasha didn't mind doing it. She actually wanted to do it. So as I usually tell these people, if you feel it's the right thing to do, go do it, and I'll back you on it. So that's what happened there. Secondly, we were contacted by Susan Beiswitz's office. They were supposed to do a Korean War veterans ceremony 2 years ago. And then just before it happened, they had the letters ready to go out. It was all ready set to be booked. And COVID happened. So she asked if they could do it this year. So Antoinette has made a list of all as far as she knows, the surviving veterans we have in town. There's 34 of them that fought in the Korean War. It's tentatively scheduled for June 20th, which is a Monday evening at 5 o'clock in this room. And we'll send out letters probably 3 weeks prior to that, get them the RSVP, and then we'll have a ceremony that evening here for the Korean War veterans. That's it on correspondence, and that's it on reports. So let's go now to old business. Old business, we'll start with the John Dean Gallup House. So we've spoken about this many times over the last few weeks. We met with the Hewitt Farm Committee, or I did on Monday, and ask them to give us some guidance on putting out a application to rent. Right now, unofficially, we're up to 4 people that have interest in renting. So I want to get the application process started. There was, I don't know if you got the email today from Ed, the chairman, saying that they wanted to have no use of fireplaces, and they could have pets, but it'd be 1 pet and had to be a pet less than 80 pounds. I don't know if you have any comment on either of those 2 recommendations?
I think it makes sense.
Okay. So we'll go ahead, Brett.
Just one comment regarding the no use of the fireplaces. I understand where they're coming from on that, but are we open to, if someone were to put a newer style wood stove in there and re-sleeve the chimney? Because we know that the fuel efficiency in there on the oil heat isn't very efficient. And I know now when they do those in older homes, my brother has a home from the same age bracket as this one, and they re-sleeved it with stainless steel pipe for a wood stove for heat. So I didn't know if that was considered, or is that something
It was talked about at the meeting last night about pellet stoves and wood stoves. Unfortunately, we had to leave because we had another meeting to go to yesterday, myself and Christine. So we left early, but the Hewitt Farm Committee did meet after that. I have the chairman here, so I'm going to ask him if he can answer your question for you. All right. Hold on 1 second. Ed. Up here.
Hi, Brett.
Hi, Ed.
We looked at that and decided that that house of that age, fire has always been an issue as far as burning the place down. And it was recommended even at last night's, the Historical Society meeting, when I explained to them we wanted to keep these sealed and not put them back into use, they agreed that that was probably the smart thing to do and the safest thing to do, is to keep them from being used.
Ed, can you explain how they've been sealed?
Actually, I don't have all the details on how that was done, how the fireplaces were sealed. Remember, I think you worked with the contractor, Anita, that did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were locked. Excuse me. We had the people who were living in it. When they left, before they left, long before they left, about what, maybe 3 years before they left? Yeah, 3 years. We saw what was happening with it was like in that room. And that was the only room that they used. It's a big room, et cetera. We had to do things in it. And the person that did it, I can't remember his name, but we are going to probably talk to him again. And basically, he said, when the chimney was taken down once before, and people probably didn't know that at this point in time, and when they put it back, they were too small, and particularly in that large room that it is in. So they covered up everything inside the whole thing. And we were thinking of, could we take it out again? But we'd have to really change the whole thing, which is 2 other things on the same floor, 3 fireplaces. And so we decided that it was too dangerous to have it, because it was going to be, if it was going to have other people in it, which it has to have, then it would not be good. So that's it.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Yes. Sorry, Alan. Point the mic down a little bit.
My question is, if there's a fire hazard or you're concerned about fires, does that mean that anybody living in there, if they wanted to go out and buy some sort of, other than an electric plug-in heater, either propane or I mean, there's all kinds of ones, out there. Does that mean that that would be a danger as well and would be prohibitive?
Ed, you're shaking your head yes on that. So you're talking about a plug-in heat, like a space heater or something? Ed, sorry.
I mean, I don't know everything that's out there, but there's a variety of safe heaters that have like electric baseboard units that have a liquid inside of them that, radiate the heat. I wouldn't want any kind of propane cylinders inside the house or anything to do, or even the kerosene heaters. The other thing that these kinds of appliances do is, for instance, a kerosene heater, it produces soot. So now we spent $20,000 fixing and painting the inside of this property, and it affects the paint. So anytime you have a fireplace and that, you end up repainting your house every year because of the smoke that comes out, even from wood stoves. The same thing happens.
So can we do this in the application for the lease? Can we put in a note that says that any additional heat source would have to be pre-approved by the Hewitt Farm Committee and the Board of Selectmen?
Yes, and then you can actually take a look at, and of course, you always want something that's UL approved. Otherwise, you may have liabilities associated with
Or at least that way
insurances
there's,
and things like
it's
that.
a little open-ended. We still get a chance to look at it and approve it, and whoever ends up renting it has another option. So
Okay.
rather than just saying no, I think we could do that maybe. Okay, is that okay with the Selectmen?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Brett, is that okay with you?
Yep.
All right, very good. So what I'll do is, I'll put together, I'm going to send this over to the attorney to look at the lease agreement. I have the one that Ed had, I mocked it up. Send it over to attorney, I get it back, I'll send it to the two of you to look at. We have a meeting on the 19th, week from tonight. Maybe we can just finalize it that night and then get it out, if that's, makes sense to you guys. Okay, any other discussion? Yes, Laura. Just one hit, Laura. There you go.
So, hi. Has there been any consideration for other than residential use for the John D. Gallup House at this point?
Oh, there's been plenty of consideration for different uses at this point. But the thing is, it's been 3 years since we've done anything with it. The town has asked us when will it be producing revenue for the town again?
Correct.
And and we went to the Board of Finance the other night and told them they would have somewhere around $14,000 a year in income.
And it seems to me that to rent that house for what I think you were considering $1,200 or $1,300 a month or something like that. Like, it seems very low for a rental for a house that size.
But it also has
2.5 bath.
But it's also they're also responsible for all utilities. And as someone just met that, so the oil is expensive in that home because it doesn't have a lot of insulation.
Right.
You'd be responsible for the electricity and any other utilities, but they come with the house. So,
And then what about the upkeep of it? Because I mean, like, I know you have plans to replace the windows
yes,
and then the overhang on the main entrance
on the
is
back
kind of
entrance.
damaged. And we were there yesterday. It looks like some of the shingles on the outbuilding are coming off of the perk where the it's not a perk, but yeah, comes through. Are they responsible? Is the town still responsible? And then what happens with the damage on the inside of it with a rental?
Right. So
It just doesn't seem like we're saving it for North Stonington. It seems like we're just becoming landlords again.
well, the town's responsible for the shell, right? And the people that are living inside are responsible for the interior. Part of the
Okay.
application process is going to determine who's the best fit for that house.
Okay.
The other thing is we're going to interview people and they have to be able to respect history and what that house is. It's just going to be rented out to anyone. So I think there's to be a lot of vetting out of who the eventual renter will be.
Okay.
But I agree with you. We wouldn't want to we know what happened before, but those renters actually came with the house. So we didn't have a chance to interview them, vet it out and so on. So it's
Well, all best laid plans,
yeah. So anyway,
seems
so
like a great idea.
I
until
think,
it's not.
well, here's the thing, the town's asked for it. And I'm thinking that we can always change our mind down the road. Let's say we go through a year and it's just not working out for the renter or us, the town.
And now you have to evict someone now.
Well, you can, so, but you could always give notice, you always give
Yeah.
notice. We could sign a 1-year lease to start
Okay.
and say that at the end of the first year, we would have to renegotiate the lease, and which is common. But we also could say that at 90 days before the lease is up, if we just the town to change their mind, you'll have to go to the microphone if you want to say something. Have to go to the microphone.
Microphone, yeah.
While Nita's going up there, do you have a suggestion for?
I do actually, and I'm going to email it to you. So I have a little bit of a PowerPoint put together. Milltown, I don't know, some people kind of know what we're doing. We're like a grassroots arts and cultural society based here out of North Stonington. We've gotten a couple of shows together. I'm working to incorporate and become a 501c3. Our long-term plan would have been looking for a home, and I had an actual house in mind. And then I didn't know that Hewitt Farm had a request for proposals out. And it was before my time. But now that I feel like we're so close and we could be a caretaker and we could work with the town and we wouldn't necessarily need to have it occupied all the time, and we could have it open for the public, and it could be, there's a lot of potential there to have it actually belong to North Stonington, which I think is huge. Like I don't like to use the simile that this could be our West Wilcox Park, but it could be. Like, it's a beautiful area. Not everyone has a dog that they want to train, or golf balls that they want to hit, or fishing that they want to do, or hiking that they want to do. But like, it is absolutely beautiful and just a complete resource for our town to have such a great open space that could be used in multiple purposes for that kind of thing.
So I have made it really clear that that would be my dream as well, to preserve it for all of North Stonington. It was my understanding that you guys were not quite
We're getting
there
there.
yet.
We got momentum. We got a lot of momentum, but we're getting there. We're
So,
absolutely
I
getting
mean,
there.
I completely understand that we need to get somebody in there to start making some money for the town.
But it's not a lot of money.
No.
It's not.
Were you at the budget meeting last night?
I was not. I opted out of that one because I was going to be here tonight, and then I was
Okay.
with
We had someone
the.
arguing why something went from $300 to $750.
Right, no, I understand, and I love
Yeah.
Brian. I'm gonna.
I didn't say
like,
who it
I'm just
was.
kidding. I love you, Brian. I do. Like, and Brian keeps us grounded, and like that absolutely keeps us going and being responsible for our neighbors and for our town. But this is one of those things that we purchased it for a purpose. It's serving a great purpose, but it could serve so much bigger of a purpose for our entire town. And I think it's short-sighted to bring it back to a residence. Nothing against anyone who wants to rent it. It's a lovely, I mean, it's absolutely lovely. The renovations they've done are spectacular with the new windows, with the other outbuilding, the being able to use it as an extension of the rec for a classroom space, to be able to use it as a community meeting space, to be able to use it as a public art space, to be able to use it for the North Stonington Business Association as kind of a welcome center, as a destination to go in North Stonington, where I'm not going to Wilcox Park, and I'm not going to Blues on the Beach, and I'm not going to Stonington. Well, we have Jonathan Edwards, so I won't say that one. I mean, it would be a destination in our town. I don't think we have a lot of those. And we have the rec field, super family friendly, lots of sports. It's great. It's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for a lot of people in town.
So I'm one person on a 3-board.
Yeah.
And certainly we have the Hewitt Farm committee that needs to weigh in also. I personally am very, very interested in what you would be able to propose. And I don't think at this point there's anything stopping anybody from submitting a rental
Right,
application.
that's what I was gonna say. When the application goes out, anyone can submit what their plan would be for the building. We're gonna have a proposed amount of money per month. If someone comes back and they say, well, we don't want to pay that, but we can do this. All proposals can be read by the UF Farm Committee, and then we ultimately make the decision, but the UF Farm is an advisory board to the Board of Selectmen. So we would think highly of whatever their recommendations would be. So I would think that, Laura, when the proposals go out, or the applications go out in another week or so, after the 19th, then you can take an application, fill it
Yep.
out, and list what you think you want to do with the house.
Absolutely. Okay.
And I just have one more question of clarification, and I probably should know this, so I'll apologize in public. We built into the 23 budget $14,000 for the rental property. Is there anything there's nothing in the 22 budget? Meaning okay, so really and truly, and our budget, corporate budget start October. What are we? Okay. All right. So I was thinking if it were an October 1 start to the fiscal year, we'd have a little bit more time, but
We're
okay.
hoping to
July
have
1,
some,
yeah.
Okay.
we are hoping to have someone in this building in some fashion by June 1st.
Okay.
Okay,
Bob, can I just make a comment?
sure. Hang on one second, Nita. Go ahead, Brett.
I agree with Nicole on this one, that it wouldn't be bad to look at all those proposals like that. And if, I'm glad that you said that with this application process, because I do think we didn't vote on a number yet of what that rental amount would be, because I do have to agree a little bit with the audience that 1,200 might be low, so we should readdress that for a home. But also to Laura's point, and this comes from being there yesterday, and maybe it was because, you know, it was springtime, there were people walking their dogs, there were people jogging, and I'm in the field near the pavilion looking at the house and seeing all these people enjoying the park-like setting in the farm, the way it looks. I don't think it's a bad idea to take a look at some of these other ideas that might come through this rental process, to also minimize the expense the town looks at over the long haul. You know, when renters move out, the towns has to repaint, I mean, that's not the job. Normal wear and tear isn't part of a renter's responsibility. So I think there's a lot to consider here, but I think your point, Bob, of vetting this out over the rental process and over that application is great. Thanks.
Thank you. Nita, do you have something to say?
Well, yes.
Into the microphone, Nita.
Sorry, I thought I can't talk that much. Okay, all right. There is probably now almost some changes that go into the request, what people are going to have to say they will do. No question about it. We decided that the other night, right?
Mhm.
And we talked about it afterwards, and we have a list, which you've seen already probably.
The only list I saw that was sent to me was the two things about the pet and about the fireplaces. So if you have another list you want to get to us before the 19th, would make sense.
Did you give? Yeah. Okay. Yes, right. Is that the one you're talking about?
This one, the fireplace and the pet. Yeah, there was
And
nothing
the
else on
pets
there
and
besides
everything
that.
like that. But basically, for us as a commission, we really want to keep the place as nice as it could be. And we want it to be something that the town will really like. And so I frankly thought we had passed over completely running over that, but I think that would be very helpful. However, to Laura too, the thing is the group would have to keep the place in very good condition. How many years were we doing that with the people that were there? We insisted it would be a 1 year every time. And it helped a little bit, not greatly, but it did help. And that's what would happen again.
Thank you.
Any other applications that we get that are non-residential, we will have to show to zoning and make sure that the use fits with the zoning for the space.
That would make sense. So we'll do is, I'll talk to the attorney just as far as the setup of the lease agreement, and then we can fine tune it a bit at the meeting on the 19th. And if we all agree, we can send it out. and then hopefully get something back within 2 weeks. Thank you.
Bob, can I say a couple of words?
Uh,
I just want to keep reiterating that this interim to rent this property out to qualified tenants reduces at least the expenditures that the town is paying out for that house being empty. And when a house is unoccupied, a lot of things deteriorate within them. You have rodents living in them and so on. So I would go with what we're doing here is probably is very much the appropriate thing. I just want to, for Laura's sake, we do 1-year leases. They're not automatically renewable. They get reviewed every year. If you need to terminate that lease at the end of this, because you have a repurpose for this house, it's very easy to do that. And by doing 1-year leases, you can also go in, you can inspect to ensure that the tenants are doing everything that's necessary to keep this place, so it's not deteriorating. So I just wanted to say that, and I can help Bob. I have some really good leases that I'll modify, and I'll give you copies of those that you can take a look at.
Yeah, why don't we touch base, and then maybe you can come over sometime towards the end of the week or beginning of next week. Okay.
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other comments? Sure, Marilyn.
Limiting 1 year with the unknown that if you, as a tenant, wants to renew and plans to stay there for a while, will definitely give people second thoughts that they may go in for a year and then they won't be able to renew. I think if you want to make an investment, in other words, put something into it out of your own pocket, thinking ahead, I'll enjoy it for a few years, that might mitigate people who would be willing to do that. So I only mentioned that as a counterbalance.
I thought, I mean, I haven't rented it in a while, but I'd remember only being able to sign a 1-year lease for anything that I had rented, apartment, condo. So I think that that's kind of the
That's the
norm.
standard. Yeah.
I mean, it might be, you might have a good relationship with the owner and it just might be renewed year after year because it's all working out. But I think for the most part that they are 1-year leases.
There's multiple year leases. Having been someone that's rented over the past few years, I've known different owners that have they either do 1, 2, 3-year leases sometimes. And then after that, there's renewing clauses in there as well. But I wouldn't say one's a standard lease. There are other options.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? If not, we're going to move along to item number 6. Excuse me, item number 7, back taxes 101A Anthony Road. So you get this in the packet, and what happened was I was approached the other day from the assessor's office asking what to do about this. There's 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. There were taxes that were not paid. The house was then taken back over by the town and sold to a nonprofit. The nonprofit hired a contractor to build out this house, give it a makeover, and that nonprofit then turned around and sold this to a gentleman who is the owner as we know today. The problem is there was $9,056.56 with interest, and now there's owed on this property is $23,722.09. The owner that owed the taxes is no longer with us. That's number one. Secondly, when the town, again, this is back in 2013 or 2014, when the town sold this to the nonprofit, back taxes weren't collected. So, and then when they sold it, there was no talk of taxes. The town never owned it anymore. So this money is on the files. The assessor's recommendation at this point is just to wipe out these back taxes because we have no way to collect them. And as they just sit there drawing, getting more and more interest, it just is a bigger number to wipe out as each year goes by. So I'm looking for discussion on this. My recommendation would be to do what the assessor asked, would be wipe these out. Why let them sit there and keep growing when there's no one that's going to pay them anyway? Comment?
So I just need to kind of talk it through so I understand. So owner of the home at one point for the last several years has not paid taxes. That person has since
Well,
probably
she,
passed.
she owned the house and the back taxes were due from 2010, 11, 12, and 13.
Okay,
The town acquired the property through foreclosure in 2015,
for how, do we know how much?
through foreclosure, so nothing.
Oh,
We just got it.
we just
And
got
she
it.
owed all this, she owed these back taxes.
Okay,
So at that point, either the town should have wiped the debt, or when they sold it to the nonprofit, then the nonprofit should have had to pay the taxes. So we're basically 2 steps past being able to get money from anyone.
yeah.
Because
okay,
it's not the current owner's responsibility.
Yeah. And we as the seller couldn't, yeah, okay, okay, I understand.
Okay,
I'm not quite sure what recourse we have at this point.
kind
Oh.
of between a rock and a hard place, as
Yeah.
they say. Brett?
So Bob, typically, if we foreclose on a property for taxes, we then sell that property to cover those taxes. Isn't, or to
That's
make.
typically what happens, yes.
So when we decided to sell it to the nonprofit, did we back then, were the taxes discussed, or I don't remember that history on it.
Nor do I, no, none of us were selectmen at that time.
Did we sell the property to the
Yeah,
nonprofit or did we give the
No,
property?
I think
to
it was for $1.
Yeah, I
wasn't it?
think we sold it for $1, and I did, before I had looked at the paperwork from when we sold it, and it didn't say that we were also collecting the tax money back. So that was the window of time where we
Right.
would have collected it back from
Yeah,
the
Plus, you gotta
nonprofit.
remember, at that time, we had just established the Affordable Housing Committee. Just prior to that, people were getting nervous. If you remember, if you were here at the time, there was the 4-story multifamily unit that was talked about going down on Boombridge Road. And the town was afraid that a developer was going to come in and we were going to get something forced down our throats that we really didn't want to do. So I think when the town saw this opportunity to start the ball rolling with affordable housing, they took it upon themselves to do this. In hindsight, probably not the best move for a number of reasons, including these back taxes, but anyway, that's where we are. We can't collect them. We can let them sit there and keep growing, but to only a bigger wipeout somewhere down the road, either us or some other board of selectmen will have to do.
Right. And so I would make a motion that we, I guess, what do we consider this? Write off or wipe?
Yeah, so
dollar?
yeah, so it's either a write-off or a wipeout, or I'll ask Darrell exactly what the nomenclature is for it. And what we'll do is if you make a motion, we'll second, we'll go to discussion, and I'll ask if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak. Because I see some people here that are from that area, so.
All right. So, yeah, I'll make the motion because, I mean, we made a mistake. The town at some point made a mistake not to take care of these back when we could have. So I'll make a motion that we write off or whatever term is necessary for a municipality to take off the balance owed on these taxes of $23,722.09.
Right, it just needs to be the actual tax amount, not the interest and stuff.
Okay, but so when we show what is owed to us in our books, we don't show the interest?
No, because we're going to be forgiving the tax amount, so then the interest would go away as well.
Right, I understand that part of the process, but in our books right now, it shows that we're owed 23,000. So,
But in our books, they read as different columns. So
Okay.
I mean, if you want to say tax in the amount of and interest in the amount of, that's fine.
okay, I'll just do taxes in the amount of $9,056.56.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, so discussion. And the selectmen seem like we've discussed this already. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to discuss?
Art Armstrong, Wyhasset Lake Road. I was a tax collector certified by the state for the Pawcatuck Fire District for 9 years. And you as the governing body have the right to do away with those taxes. The town screwed up, right? So there's no sense leaving those taxes on the book as uncollectible because they are uncollectible. So it's up to the governing body in this town to just write them off.
Thank you, Art.
My name is Paul Bliven. I live right next to 101 Anthony. So my feeling is when the town bought that, foreclosed on it, that house got over $400,000 in grant, sold for $212,000. So why at that moment didn't you go after the taxes on it at that point? That's one. Two is this house still considered an affordable house? You and I talked about this. Is it not an affordable house? They're renting it out now,
Yeah, we had, we took it off the books and we are no longer giving them.
but it's still an affordable house, correct?
We took it off the books and we wiped out the taxes on it.
So does he owe taxes? Why is Matthew Meenan doesn't have his taxes on it for 2020?
Well, excuse me, so the tax break is what we wiped off, which is a 20% tax break for an affordable home.
But did you wipe out 2020 taxes completely?
No, we did not.
Because he's been paying $4,000 a year from 2017.
Whatever the taxes are due in that house are due in full. So there's no more 20% tax break.
So is he behind in his taxes now?
I don't believe so. I could check with the assessor, but as of January, he wasn't.
So if it's no longer an affordable house, only on tax purposes, but it's still an affordable house, correct?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'd have to
Well, we
get-
talked about this, Bob, as far as we have no enforcement authority.
we-
So the guy could actually rent it out to 20 college kids and there's nothing the town can do about it, correct?
I believe that's probably correct, yes.
Right. So he's renting it out to 6 or 8 people. We don't know where he is. He hasn't been there in a year and a half. Their kids went to the school system in North Southampton, never paid taxes here. They don't pay motor vehicle taxes. So that's not fair. That's what I'm saying.
When you
Barbara
say-
Maine passed away, and I get that fact. I wasn't sure what this was all about. Now I understand. But as far as for the here and now,
So what would you have the town do at this point, Paul?
well, as far as Barbara Maine goes, she's dead. There's
No, I'm
nothing
not
you-
talking about these taxes. I'm talking about going
I think the
forward.
town should take it completely off the affordable housing. Otherwise, they're still getting the benefit when they can't, can they sell the house or they can't sell the house?
I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to get that for you. I'm not sure. This all transpired before this, actually not just this board of selectmen, but the one before that and the one
Right,
before
right.
that.
And
So
I've been fighting this for 4 years now. That's why I'm here tonight. So it's just a matter of fact, we don't have any bite as far as the affordable housing. So anybody could buy the house and just rent it to whoever they want.
and
There's-
what we did find out was that the town gave a list of things that they wanted to have happen, that the nonprofit was supposed to then turn that list over to the purchaser. We can't find where that was ever done because we were supposed to get a copy of it back then.
Right.
We can't find a copy where it was ever signed by the person who bought the house.
So moving forward, if an affordable house gets put up and they decide to rent it out, there's nothing the town can do about it.
We've already had that situation down at Lake of Isles and the town did have something to do about it because it was written that way. I think this is being one of the first affordable houses the town did. I think mistakes were made.
Well, definitely. That's what I'm saying. So, but it's another story for another time. But I think if you buy an affordable home, you should have to pay taxes in the town of North Thornton as far as the vehicles you drive and the kids you send to our schools.
So that's
Another issue, but
yes.
it's an issue. These are things that are happening that there's nothing the town can do about.
So when he owned the house and if he was renting it out, and even if the children that were renting, and you can rent a house in North Stonington and the children can go to our school, as long as your residency is in our town, as long as the person that owns the house is paying the taxes, correct?
Correct, but if his motor vehicles are registered in Wesley, Rhode Island.
There's no law on the motor vehicles.
Right, so the town doesn't want to.
Well, I'm not saying that the town doesn't want to, but the town only has so much,
Right.
jurisdiction as
I
far as
just
sending
don't-
police out there. I mean,
My
there's a
fear
lot-
is that this affordable housing is turned into rental housing. People are going to buy them because of the great program it is, and then they're just going to rent them out. I mean, there's nothing to stop.
But
it.
we haven't seen that happen except in
It's
this one
happening
house.
now, 101. It's happening
Except
since
for
day
this one
one.
house, exactly.
And there's nothing the town.
So
can
I
do
think
about it.
that you were on affordable housing back then, weren't you?
I was on the
So
committee.
I'm thinking that maybe that particular committee at the time being something new, they didn't cross all the Ts and dot the Is because they didn't know what the possibilities were. Now we know what those are.
Right. So moving forward, is the town going to establish an affordable housing enforcement action or?
I think I'd have to talk to Nate about that and I'd be glad to meet with Nate and yourself when we go through that, but
Right, okay. So what happens if, is it in the town's interest, I guess my question, the reason I came here tonight, does the town have anything to do with 101A Anthony Road after you guys wipe the taxes off of Barbara Maine?
we didn't wipe the taxes. We wiped out the tax break.
So that's another issue and that's gone. So moving forward, though, the town has no interest in 101A.
I'm not saying we have no interest in it.
Well, interest as far as, let's say he doesn't pay his taxes for another year.
Then he'd be treated like any other homeowner that's not paying their taxes.
Exactly, that's my point, right? So he's any other homeowner. Okay. So that's.
I mean, he's not gonna get a break and not be able to pay, not pay his taxes and not be prosecuted for it.
Well, I mean, as I'll say it because I don't really care at this point. He was in the ACI for a year and a half. You know what I mean? So the owner is not there, nor is he there now.
But somebody must have paid those taxes.
Well, that's what I don't know. I went on town page. I can't find any taxes for 2021.
I would check with the tax collector. She can pull that up for you.
I pulled it up myself. They're
Okay.
not there.
We are currently in the grand list 2020. That's why there's no taxes for 2021. Those don't come until July.
Okay. All
See,
right.
there
So,
you go.
all right. All right. So that's the only reason I came tonight because of my concerns about this. And I just worry that the town is just going to go right down this road again. So. and,
We have I think it's 6 affordable homes in Lake of Isles. There's 2 more being built right now on Route 2.
Right. But this was a special occasion, a special exception. So,
Hmm.
okay.
And I think it was the first one. I mean, with hindsight, there's a lot of things that went on with that property that probably shouldn't have happened. So,
Right.
and you're right. I
Okay.
don't think the checks and balances were there. The fact that we didn't collect the back taxes, we sold it for $1.
Right.
The things that the town wanted to happen never happened, and we didn't get the signed sheet sent back over to the town. So I think there was a lot of mistakes.
Right.
And now,
And we both know you can't get not affordable housing, and NeighborWorks is unreachable. You know,
I've tried to reach them many times.
I tried, my wife and I tried.
I can
for
reach them. I
months.
usually can't get a return phone call. or
Right, they
reach
will
them.
not, they will not call you back. And they were the ones that headed the project, so. It is what it is. I was misunderstood as far as how it was going down. I thought it was the current owner not paying his taxes, but it was the deceased owner.
Yes.
Okay, you cleared it up.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks,
So-
Bob.
So thank you. That, so for me, these seem to be two different issues. There seems to be the back taxes of $9,056 for the original owner. And then I think that he brings to light certainly lots of concerns and things that we need to vet out regarding affordable housing in the town.
And if you like, we could have, I could have someone from town come to one of our meetings and explain.
I would love that, just for
Okay.
my education. I would love that.
Okay.
I mean, the last thing, affordable housing is such a key issue in North Stonington right now. I want to make sure that we're doing everything correct moving forward. And people are not taking advantage of the fact that they're gobbling up affordable homes and then turning around and renting them. So I'd love to have somebody come and speak to us.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nicole. Two separate issues here, but it does bring to light, and Paul and I've talked in the past as well. And obviously we did make mistakes back then on this without having any way to enforce any affordable housing rules. So Bob, I'd like to take you up on that invitation too, to have someone come in and go over this and what our options are for the future for enforcement.
And I'll find out who the best person is to do that. I might be inviting Juliet back. I'm not sure. She might be the best person. I'll talk to Nate, see if I don't know if Nate's as up on affordable housing as Juliet was when she was here. Plus Juliet's still involved with KNSA, so I'll get someone to come into a meeting and talk to us.
All right, great. Thank you.
So just for my education, if this were happening right now, would we, as the town, have taken control of that property, realizing that there was, $23,000 if we're going to give it to a nonprofit, but any nonprofit has money available to them for this specific, would we not have just asked that nonprofit, we will sell it to you for the back taxes that are owed on it of just 9,000, or if at the time it was 23,000? Is that what we would have done if it was happening right now?
Most likely, yes. You would write into the sale agreement that they would cover that, or that they would cover it from the proceeds of the sale of the house. So you
When
could
they
defer that
turned around and sold
expense
it.
so that they weren't incurring it and then they were passing it back when they received the money from
Okay.
the purchaser.
Okay, I just wanted to, for my education.
I know in
Thanks.
the next meeting of the Affordable Housing Committee, they're having someone from the COG come in and speak to them. usually, I think that, do you know when the next meeting's scheduled?
It should be the 27th at 5:30.
And that's usually in this back meeting room right here, correct? I'll speak to I'll go to that meeting. I go to most of their meetings anyway. I'll speak to that person, see if they can also come to one of our meetings. No, it's the 101 Anthony Road. It's a big
Brett,
white
she just
house.
asked if it was the old schoolhouse that they were talking about.
Okay,
And
thanks.
no, it's
Bob, you have a hand from Brian Reffin.
Okay, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, that's quite a lot of money we just forgiven. I don't understand the whole thing, how it got so high, and I don't know why. I guess, did the person die or just take off or what?
I
But
think
I thought the
the story
process
we-
was they would put a lien on it. How come they're not putting a lien on it?
So Brian, what we heard is that the house was repossessed by the town, then sold to a nonprofit back in 2015, and after that, the person who lived there passed away.
Okay, so the person never owned it, or did the person own it?
Yeah, she owned it.
Well, before they settle anything up for her, what is it they call it after you die? They got to settle everything.
Her
The
estate.
estate. How come there wasn't a lien? We should be able to collect money from the estate if she had any.
Brian, we took the house back from him. So that was our collateral for those taxes. So we took the house for the $9,056 technically back then.
Okay, so that's what we got. So then, so the town owns the house now,
No,
not the affordable housing or the KNSA or whoever?
no, the town sold the house to a nonprofit back in 2015.
Oh, that all happened before they had it then. I
So,
see,
Brian,
all right.
the-
So,
the
and the
town-
taxes weren't taken up at that point.
Yeah,
Right. So Brian, the town foreclosed on the house and that was in lieu of being able to collect the taxes. And then the town sold it to a nonprofit who then converted the house into affordable housing. And then it was sold to someone as affordable housing. So there's no one to collect the money from at this point.
Wow. Because I know if I fall back on my taxes, they put a lien right on me. Boom.
Right. That's why we took the house. They lost their house. The town took ownership of the house.
So Brian, it sounds like we kind of lost the opportunity to recoup those taxes.
When we
What we
sold it for $1.
Yes. And
Right.
what we could have done is sold it to the nonprofit for $1 with the understanding that when they turned it around and sold it for affordable housing, that they paid us the back taxes. But obviously that wasn't done. So we've lost that opportunity.
I got you now. What a mess.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a big,
I'll have to definitely,
big
definitely gotta put a stipulation in there. If they ever turn any more houses over for $1, make sure if there's any back taxes, it's $1 plus whatever's being owed for taxes.
I think that's definitely the learning opportunity, Brian.
Okay, I'll let you go. Thanks.
thank you, Brian.
Thank-
Go back on an issue,
Sh-
the motor vehicle.
Can you, excuse me, could you use a microphone if you don't mind? That one's fine or this one, either one. Only so the people online can hear you.
I have a couple of questions. I live at 311 Wyasip Road. I don't understand, and it's happened to me. I been on the road for years as a salesperson. I had leased cars out of New York, driven them in Connecticut. The motor vehicle came to me and said, "Hey, you can't do that. You have to have the car registered here in the state of Connecticut." These people are skirting the issue by registering their cars in Rhode Island.
paying Rhode Island taxes. And if they have DWI, caught for drunken driving, they can skate the issue and not show it and, pay lower insurance. And I know for a fact in motor vehicle, if you live in a town and you drive your car in that town, you have to have your vehicles registered in that town. I think you're completely wrong.
As
And
far
I
as-
think that you don't know what you're talking about
So,
because
Can we just move there was a motion.
I
This is a separate discussion. So can we close our,
stay right there for a minute. Let us vote and close this out. and then we
Okay.
can- All right, so
All right.
stay right there so we can finish our conversation. So there's a motion on the floor. So do we want to have them wipe out the taxes as was motioned? All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, none opposed, 3-0. Okay, thank you. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
why should the town lose money? That if people want to register their car in Westerly or wherever, they're living here in the town of North Stonington. They have so many days to register. So many days to register. I'm electrified.
You want to try this one?
Brett, you're not
Yeah.
here to help us with the audio visual tonight.
I know.
That's
I'm
why we're
sorry.
having issues.
Stay there. I'll turn this one off.
People have so many days to register their car in the state of Connecticut. Now, if this town, we are losing money on registrations. That all affects us and all our taxes. So, okay, I decide I have a piece of property in Westerly. I'm going to register my cars in Westerly, live here in North Stonington, and get cheaper taxes because of the Rhode Island law, not worry about DWI offenses, and get away with it. We should have the police in this town ticket these people that are evading the responsibility and law of the state of Connecticut and the town taxes. Why should they have a privilege?
I agree
It's
with
coming
that.
out of our pocket.
So I agree with everything that you said.
Okay, so why don't we do it?
Because, well, it's not easy. First of all, we have 2 resident troopers, number one.
Yes,
We have to vet out each one of those license plates that you said. If you're a salesman and work for a company out of Rhode Island and you're bringing your company car home,
yeah,
it's registered in Rhode Island because it's owned by the company you're working for, correct?
I didn't say it that way. I said, and listen, I was working in Connecticut. I leased the car from Essex Leasing out of Essex, Connecticut. And that car had New York plates on it. Okay, so I was not paying property taxes in the town. The city of Norwich came to me and said, hey, you cannot drive on these New York plates on a lease car, not paying property tax in the city of Norwich. You have to pay taxes in the town where you live and where that vehicle is driven. Okay, so I understand that the people that you're talking about have residences in Westerly, and they're using the town of North Stonington, number one, which is legal to send the kids live there and send the kids to school, but not legal for automotive. Why should we give special preference for people for automotive taxes? I don't think it's right.
So I agree with you. And I
Okay.
think, so you're asking is, can the town set up a program to try to vet out all these people that are legally using out-of-state plates? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's, yes.
And I'm thinking that that's something that we could do. It would be somewhat of it would take some time because each person you'd have to find out. Now, you know how people register their cars in Vermont and Florida,
Yeah.
correct? Then you have to make sure that if they say they live in Florida for 6 months in a day,
Mhm.
then they're Florida residents. So you have to find out where they spend most of their time, where they live. Is that correct?
Which is correct.
So once we find out who, and the police aren't going to be driving around looking for out-of-state plates. It's usually neighbors will say, hey, my neighbor has had Vermont plates for the last 5 years. He never leaves Connecticut. I guess we could probably look into doing that. Being that's a new board and we've had a lot on our plate to start, trying to clean up some things that were left behind. But I don't think that's a bad idea. I take it, opposition to the fact that you said, I don't know what I'm talking about, because I'm told you, I don't know. I don't know all about this. I'd be glad to look into it for you. And I think everything you said is correct. I think it's a great idea. If we can find the time and the manpower to do it, it would make sense for me to do it. Makes sense for this board to do it. So thank you for the comment.
Good, thank you.
Okay. There we go. So now we're on number 8. Sale of furniture, 298 Norwich Wesley Road. You got a thing, flyer in your package, and this is something we talked about for a while. So we know that when we walked through back in January, when we did the community conversation, we did some tours. We saw what was in the 2-story wing, mostly on the 2nd floor, and there's a few things up here, and there's a few things in the cafeteria in the middle school wing. We have to get rid of this stuff. I asked the superintendent, and he said to all the teachers and administrators at the school, you have until such and such a date to take what you want, tag it, get rid of it, because after a certain date, it's going to be gone. They've done that, and they've taken everything they wanted to take. The superintendent is having the IT department get rid of all the IT material and send it to IT heaven, wherever that is. Get rid of that. So that's going to leave us with the things that nobody seems to want. So by having this yard sale on April 23rd from 8 to 12, I thought it might give a chance for some people in town that maybe can't afford to go out and buy IKEA furniture or go to an office supply store, and maybe they can come and pick up a desk and a chair, maybe a desk for $10 and a chair for $5 or a table for $15. And we're not going to get rid of all of it this way, but even if we get rid of 10% and it can help out some needy people at the same time, it makes sense to me to do it. Why not give it the advantage to our taxpayers before we give it to some liquidation company that gives us pennies on the dollar? So what I was hoping to do is run this on the 23rd, possibly get maybe 5 or 6 people who would volunteer to work a different section of the building. And we'll go over how the details will be. Someone would walk, I'd have everyone park in the big parking lot, have them come to the main entrance. If they see something they like, they see the person in that area, maybe we'll have vests or something and say, how much for this chair? How much for this desk? You write it on a sticky note, give it to them. They go get their car, drive around to the side where the greenhouse is. Christine and Ivana are working out there as cashiers. They hold to give them the sticker. It says $10, one desk, $10. They pay for it, go get the desk, come out that door. They go out by the library. That's the plan. Hopefully something like that would work. I'd ask the 2 selectmen to volunteer if they have the time. I'd ask people from the Board of Finance to volunteer if they have the time. And we wouldn't need a lot of people to do this, and we could do the whole thing in 4 hours. And that's the plan. So is there any comments to that?
No, count me in.
Bob, yeah, I'm in for it. I just have a question. So some of the stuff when you said IT heaven made me a little nervous.
ID hell?
No, yeah, right. IT heaven. When we toured that facility, there was a lot of IT equipment that was ordered in 2015, some of it outdated, things like that, but still had a value to those things. I mean, there were thousands of dollars on some of those tables worth of stuff that was ordered previously. Did the school do anything with that stuff? Are they inventory, or are they just?
Some things have gone, Brett. There's some things still there. We probably want to do a walkthrough prior to the 23rd, see what we have, and actually probably condense maybe into some rooms, so it's not spread out of multiple rooms. Again, there's things in this hallway we can also take. So we could do a walkthrough between now and then if you wanted to, and see what makes sense. If there's things that you think are valuable, and we want to put them aside because you think we can sell them to another outlet and get more money for them, I consider that.
Yeah, no, I was more concerned about, I mean, that too, but if there wasn't good tracking about when this stuff was removed and sent to IT heaven, what was there a rush from the school department just to move the stuff and get rid of it, or did they track any of it and try to recoup some of those expenses?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Brett. And I know that I thought they'd be moving a lot more. There's still a lot down there, to be honest with you.
Okay, so yeah, maybe another walkthrough would be great, but yeah,
I know you're COVID free. We'll go take a walk. How's that?
Yeah,
Very
and
good.
I think if the school were to sell any items, the money would have to come back to the town. I don't think they would retain that funding, but I can double check that.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, I was just concerned because like I said, there was a lot of, now they are older electronics, but there's still value to them that were in there that I don't know if the school was going to just store them somewhere else, because I know storage is an issue at the new school, or they just put them on a pallet and shipped them out, which would be that. I hope that wasn't the case on some of that stuff, but I'm just trying to look out for the taxpayers' dollars on that.
Since you're our resident expert on all things ordinances and statutes, do you know for any reason why we couldn't have this yard sale without going to a town meeting for us to get approval?
I don't. I did look that up when you mentioned it once before, and I couldn't find anything that directed us to that on the property.
If the selectmen do vote to move forward with this, would you like me to put in a short legal ad in the newspaper so that people have a better awareness that we're doing it?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think covering our bases would be great on it.
If we're going to do it for just the 4 hours, we want to make it worth our while and attract attention.
We
I
can-
do-
I'm sorry, go ahead. Nicole.
No, I do think that we're going to probably want to, whatever 5, 6, 7 volunteers we get, I think that we're going to want to come beforehand to condense things. I don't think that we're going to be able to just show up that Saturday morning. I think either that Friday night or another night that week beforehand, just to condense stuff rather than having, otherwise we'll need more people to be posted in more areas. And there's a lot of stuff all over the place.
Okay, so it's a week from Saturday, so we can probably do something next week. We'll find out what works for most of us. Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, I say a legal ad, but also we should do something on the town website and on social media.
Oh,
obviously.
definitely.
Okay, so why don't we, do I
You
hear a
also-
motion to go through with this?
You have a hand from Brian. I don't know if you want to
Oh,
take
Brian,
that before
go
you
ahead, I'm
vote.
sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know if, are you including anything down where the shop area is?
No, the shop is off limits.
Okay, I was just wondering because that's the first thing that popped in my mind.
No, the shop's off limits because we're not ready to let go of that room. We think we might be able to use that room for multiple
And
things.
when are you doing this? I mean, not the sale, but if you need help, give me a yell. If I'm free, I'll come down and give you a hand.
Saturday, April 23rd is from 8 to 12 would be the sale.
Yeah, that'll be the
asking-
sale, right? But
Oh, you mean coming down earlier to help move things
yeah, to
around?
help you move things around or whatever.
All right, I'll give you a heads up when we decide on that date. That's great. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you,
All right.
Brian.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay. So can we have a motion on this?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to move forward with a yard sale for select items left in the middle school, high school at 298 Norwich Westerly Road on the 23rd of April from 8 to 12.
Perfect. Second? I'll second it. Well, sorry, Brad. I didn't know if you must have been muted.
I was looking at a calendar, but yes, I will second it and then discuss.
Great. Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just looked at the calendar in April 23rd. I just concerned about that day because we're still technically in April vacation for the kids. And
Hmm.
usually our population decreases during this week, that weekend. I don't know if that matters, but I know when we've had events or things that fell with a vacation week.
And unfortunately, next week is the 30th, and that's the week that I think we still I'll be helping clean out that trailer for the individual we talked about earlier.
Okay.
It's scheduled for the 30th, and then we're into May. Next thing you know, it's Mother's Day, and it felt like it made sense. I don't know if people that would take advantage of this probably wouldn't be out of town at Disney World or something. So
Brett, is it the beginning of school vacation or the tail end of school vacation?
the end.
Tail end.
Alright.
The end. Yep. So vacation starts this Friday and then ends that Sunday.
I say we just take our chances. I
Okay.
think if we can put it out on the website, if we can advertise it in the paper, we'll get enough.
If we get a lot of
Hopefully we get
feedback that
enough.
people missed it, we can always have a second one, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if
All
there's
right.
left-
Oh, so can we use some of the signage that we have to put right out front that day? Yeah.
We do that. Okay, so we have a motion. Let's take a vote. All in favor of having the yard sale April 23rd from 8 to 12, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All set on that. Number 9, North Stonington Lions Club Memorial Day Parade. Something fun. We finally got this letter. We've been waiting 3 years for this letter to come back in to ask us for permission to have a Memorial Day Parade. Exciting that we're going to have one again after missing the last 2 years. So we need to make a motion and vote to approve it. And then in the past years, the last 2 that we've had, myself, Nita, and Mike walked in them. They'd like to have us be in the parade. I think it's a nice thing to do, especially if it's a nice day. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but is there any reason why we wouldn't want to approve this parade?
Not at all. Not in my mind.
Nope, I'm
Okay.
looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
So then can we hear a
I
motion?
would like a float though.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the parade for May 30th, 2022 at 10 a.m.
I second.
Great. Any other discussion?
That was I felt like the best motion I've ever made. I
Right.
like it.
Hearing no other discussion. All those in favor of having the Memorial Day Parade be approved by the Board of Selectmen, say aye.
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 Okay, now off that a little bit. Brett wants to ride. I say Nita Kincaid walked both times.
No, Nicole just said she wanted a float. Nicole, I heard Nicole say it first.
He said it jokingly. You said it seriously.
Nita is my mentor and my idol. If Nita walked, I can walk.
Besides, if you're walking, she get to go by and, shake hands and say hi.
Right. We could walk. I'm all for it.
Great. And it's not that far. And then at the end will be there's typically a ceremony at the circle at the old middle school, which maybe someday when that building's not there, we'll have to reschedule that for somewhere else. But I'm going to put out some chairs that morning. They asked for 16 chairs. They'll have whoever the honorary person is I guess the parade marshal and whoever they're honoring that day. And the selectmen typically sit up there also. So be prepared that when the meetings, when the parade's over, we'll congregate there and they'll do the 21 gun salute and so on. So it's a really nice event if you haven't been involved. Would you
Yeah.
concur, Anita? It's always enjoyable, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Only
right, so-
Roddy walks too.
Oh, okay.
I'll-
I will tell him
Because
tonight.
he's singing at the tree lighting. I just enjoy his company.
I'll let the Lions know that we've approved. Thank you. No Stowe Fest Halloween Parade. Brett, I think you said you want to move this to the next meeting.
Yeah, table it to the next meeting. Jen Strunk is out of town. And basically she's coming in to go over the dates with us. So she has to be on the agenda, but she happens to be out of town this week. She had to leave town, so she will be requested for the next selectmen's meeting to be on the agenda.
Great. Number 11, appointments. We have one appointment this evening. Cheryl Haas, many of you know her if you go to the Red Onion. She's the manager over there. She's also was probably the lead person trying to help the older Marine that we had in town and getting him new housing. She's a really nice lady. She wants to be involved in affordable housing. She was at the last affordable housing meeting. She seems like she has a lot to add. And it's always good to get someone on a committee that looks like they're willing to add to the committee and work hard on it. So I would like to recommend Cheryl Haas be appointed to the Affordable Housing Committee.
So moved.
I wholeheartedly agree. She's an incredible person. Should be an asset.
Okay. If there's any discussion, if none, let's take a vote. All in favor of appointing Cheryl Haas to the Affordable Housing Committee, say aye.
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 Okay, I will let her know, and then I'll have her go and get sworn in. Thank you. Next, tax refunds. Nicole, would you like to do this as a group like you did last time?
the total?
Yeah, actually, if you want to do it, Brett, I know Nicole gets stuck doing the minutes typically, so if you want to do the tax
Yeah, go ahead.
refund, you could.
So in the package, is the total the $1,437.09? Am I correct in that?
That's correct.
All right, so I make a motion for refund on the taxes of $1437.09 to Toyota Lease Trust.
I
Correct.
second.
Okay, motion and a second. Seems like this time it's all the same company that's involved. All in favor of approving these tax credits, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so moved is done. Minutes,
I'm getting there. Hang on. All
joint
right.
one set.
I make a motion to approve the Town of North Stonington Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from March 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 PM as submitted.
I second.
Okay. Are there any comments on these minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes for March 22nd, 2022, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. We have public comment. So I have a comment for the public first. Sarah, could you stay at the end of the meeting? Just give me your contact information. So as I'm working on that, what you wanted me to work on, I can keep you in touch on how we're doing it. Public, back to us.
I'm surprised you're not putting out your information at the place here tonight.
What information do you?
Your material for tonight. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. See how fast it is? It's kind of late, but sorry. Okay. Is there any other public comment? Any public comment online?
Laura Tillinghast, online.
Wait a minute.
Laura,
I know,
you're
sorry,
home
Bob, I
already?
had to go home.
You're already here.
I was already here.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you. And then as I was driving home, and then I hit the rumble strip on Denison Hill, I just didn't know what was happening with that. Is there going to be any kind of repair? Are we just leaving it, letting it lie? It was quite a topic of conversation at the at Friday night at Jonathan Edwards. I didn't make it to the Ed Foundation, but it is a topic of conversation. It tends to be very loud for people who live near it. We're pretty far
Yeah,
back from the
so
road.
I can give you the backstory on that if you'd like, and where we're going with it. So what happened is the previous first selectman had made an agreement with the state to do 5 rural roads, with that road being one of them. The lucky people that lived there were the first road that was done. Other roads were Winterchog Hill, Jeremy Hill, Wyosop, and can't think of the last one, but there was 5 that was supposed to get rumble strips or chatter strips, I guess they're called chatter strips, and new yellow lines. So I didn't know this agreement was made. I asked Christine, she has nothing in writing, did not know the agreement was made. Until I started getting phone calls from multiple people that live on Denison Hill asking what we were doing to their road. I sent Don Hill, our foreman up there, asked him, can you find out what they're doing up there? He found out exactly what we'll do. It was the state had hired a firm out of Pennsylvania to come in and do those 5 roads. So the information I was getting back from the homeowners is we don't want these. The road's too narrow. You're not going to be able to walk on them. People hit you because they don't want to go over the rumble strip. I can't sleep at night because of hitting the rumble strip or the chatter strip. So I said, Donnie, just tell them to stop. Let's find out what's going on. So I did ask the company who did Denison Hill, since they destroyed the yellow line, they would at least go put the yellow line back on, which they did the next day. And then they all packed up and went back to Pennsylvania. So that's where we are. So how do I correct it? I asked Donnie to look at LoSiP funding in the 8-year road plan in town and ask him, where does Denison Hill fall? They fall, I believe, in 2025. So that's not going to be good because you guys don't want to wait 2 years, I'm sure, to get that fixed. So I also have him getting pricing right now on what it would cost to get a milling machine to dig out a 12-inch wide by 3/4 of a mile strip, because it goes from the Palmer Farm up to Pucker Road. What that would cost the town to do that, and then what it would cost to fill it with asphalt. And then hopefully it would stay until the road gets completely redone in 2025. We haven't got that information back yet, Laura, on what that price is. I don't know if it's $15,000 or $150,000. I have no idea. So once I get the pricing back, I'll talk to the two selectmen and see how they want to handle it. And to see if there's any money left in state aid for local roads, if there's any LoSiP money. If there's any money left over from salt and sand, we're going to try to do something about it, but it was a situation we knew nothing about until it was too late. The only good thing is we mitigated it by only having part of one road done, and the other 4 roads were never touched. I said, you were just a lucky one to get your
Yeah.
road done first.
Thank you for that, for all involved. No, I just know it was a big topic. We are past where it ends, so it's not like it affects me at all, but yeah, as my tire chattered on it, when I turned the corner from Putker Road onto Dennison Hill, I thought, oh yeah, I should have said this at the comments, just wondering what was
So,
going on with that. Thank
most
you.
Most of my communication so far has been with Nicole Capalbo.
Capalbo, yeah.
You know, and so most of my conversation has been with her, and she's been relaying the conversation. We've been emailing back and forth. I'm trying to keep her abreast of where we are,
Right.
but right now there's no information until I get some quotes back.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome. I think Laura's the first person ever to attend a meeting, both
Yeah,
virtually and in
in
person
person
in
and
the same,
virtually.
in the same meeting.
You're welcome.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to make a motion to adjourn.
Well, let's talk. Our next meeting is April 19th.
You jumped the gun.
Next-
I usually jump the gun. I'm so glad it was Nicole this time.
So next meeting is April 19th, which we will call for the town meeting at that meeting, which is May 2nd. And we'll talk about what's going to be on that. Brett, you'll have the thing that was tabled tonight. We'll put that on there.
Yep.
And they'll,
Why is that a special meeting?
because
is it
it's not
6?
on a normal, we put our
I
calendar
don't have
ahead.
I don't have my phone. When is the 19th?
It's a week from today.
Oh, okay.
So typically we meet the 2nd and 4th. This is the
Yep.
3rd only so we can get the town meeting scheduled for
Okay.
May 2nd.
Gotcha.
What we can do too is when we meet on the 19th, if we get, it's not going to be just a town meeting, we have other things to talk about. If we're up to speed, we can maybe take the following week off, the 26th, since we're having our 2 meetings.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't have my phone with me, so I didn't know when it
No,
was.
so just, I mean, if we're caught up, we can try, we're coming out of budget season. We have a lot to go between the town meeting and referendum. So we might be able to take that night off if there's nothing pressing. So
Okay.
we'll see. Okay, now do you want to?
I would now like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
And the
you.
meeting is ending at 8:07.
Wow.
Wow, this is a quick meeting.
This is. it's not-
7:49. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Rod said, I'll see you at 9:30. He's going to be so excited.